Hi, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. I'm going to just speak. Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to be here amongst such talented poets. Thank you, Caleb, Ella, and Andrea. It's 3 more books for me to add to my collection. And as I said, I hope that my internet connection lasts. I'm halfway up a mountain in Corfu, and I've been panicking about the internet freezing. So hopefully it lasts out. I owe a debt of gratitude to Grace Wells, who may be here this evening watching. She was mentoring me last summer when, after reading at Cheltenham, I had a manuscript request. So she helped me fashion these stories that I'd gathered during 13 years working at sea into something which resembled a collection. I really thank Aaron and also Nosh for seeing something in my work and for all the consequent encouragement and validation. I found a book in a charity shop in Cork City in late 2020 called Hundreds of Things a Girl Can Make. First published in 1900, it's an instruction manual for domesticity, listing examples of handicraft specifically for girls to make the men in their lives happy: fathers, brothers, uncles, visitors to the household. I sort of reflexively started erasing parts of each chapter and then finding these ominous little poems underneath. I thought it was a separate project initially, but it turned out to work extraordinarily well alongside my seafaring poems, and it added to the idea I was developing about containment and escape. So Temporary Stasis follows the trajectory of a girl to womanhood through the lens of the yachting industry, a place that as a younger person provides moments of great joy, especially did to me, but it does have kind of a dark heart. So my first poem is, working titles for this poem include. Working titles for this poem include Brown School Skirt in honour of those stiff and unforgiving pleats, how they buckle and warp when the waistband is rolled. You walk from school, through town, past the prison, home, imagining what life will be like when you're older. Castles for cassette and tunnels for Eponine, distant gunfire over a papier-mâché Mott and Bailey castle you made at junior school. It is the skill to build defences against scalding oil, cauldrons and quicklime, to mould cotton wool sheep and pipe cleaner battering rams. A castle is a room in which to hoard ambitions, where you pack relics into tea chests along with expectations. Later, you yearn for lost sketches of moon faces and tiny triangle bodies, of that house you loved, a box with a chimney, an accident of birth in felt tips. Much too soon for the Greek waiter you met in Rhodes at 15, far too old for the DJ who pushed your head into his lap in a lane. It is your part-time job at the Stakis and a scum-filled bucket of cutlery to polish at the Bronze Package Hotel where dreams discolour and tarnish. Cycling at speed, anorak flapping, gum wound around your tongue, standing outside Benetton at 11 in your knee-high boots, with your childhood like a siren screaming, wait, not so fast, as you lean against the milkshake-spattered telephone booth. No, you don't worry about time or loss on that walk home from school, but today might be the last day your mum picks out your clothes, so confident you'll never want for more or leave, your idyllic, painful, naive teenage years. Okay, first day nerves, from a traveller's washing compendium in Hundreds of Things a Girl Can Make. One becomes dirty so quickly, the feeling of comfort washed away, the requisites of a small space, a miniature cake of soap, a face glove, a pocket comb, a tiny mirror. Items are arranged as follows: fold, strip, roll up, take up, very little space. But naturally, it is a choice. A piece of glazed cloth, thin, supple, waterproof. Do you recognize yourself? You are waterproof, but be careful. Housekeeping, not much cheerier, I'm afraid. Sure, I can bring your coffee, sir. Clean your cabin, change the sheets. It's not for us to uncover swallowed bilgewater or to disturb the slithering beasts. So I'll turn my head to avoid porn scenes playing, gather rigid tissues from your basket, convince you I am qualified. I'm qualified. One summer, twice a day, I emptied condoms from an alpine chalet bin whose owners, Christian ramblers, never spoke a word to each other at breakfast. The team nicknamed me Jism Hand, though I always wore a rubber glove. I didn't mind, I liked the job. There have been many incalculable, inestimable bodily fluids spilled since, a litany of stains which are, at first glance, impervious to treatment. But armed with a Dr. Beckman stain devil, we are nothing if not persistent. Will my curriculum vitae be complete with this new opportunity? The vitae, the course of my life, has run haphazardly in this industry, with value according only to how you view me. And I will never be told the ways in which I didn't measure up. But I should take notes, remember the rules, or I will never make the grade. I'm qualified. But I have yet to hit the big time, tired, subdued, nearly out of breath. I started halfway up and hoped to climb, to be the best, closed my eyes to subjugation, so I wouldn't see what's happening on this yacht, where interior crew are girls, and girls are handy to have around, but not essential, not professional, never qualified. We are expendable, elastic, flexible as latex. Applique, from French knots and couching and hundreds of things a girl can make. Maybe the point is not to push through, to hold firm, but to slip the knot. Desire, space, two kinds of need, one fine and one coarse, must be the outline. We thread through the dawn, make a stitch, inch further along, and continue as ornaments. The addition of a touch to the neck and wrists is useful in embroidery. Wilderness. After lengths of coastline marked by dust and roots, sand stretched to water's edge, stood Cocos Keeling's glinting atoll, the only haven for vagrant birds blown south. We kept a desolate tract, 1,940.2 nautical miles from the Maldives, dropped anchor at Direction Island, at the tail end of the doldrums. I felt sure there was a tempest brewing, but I must remember wrong. The season called for sanctity, spoke of stillness and of calm. We snorkeled the rip with humphead wrasse, dived shallow shipwreck graves. That day I caught my flesh on ruthless coral and it frayed. Blood glowed green under refracted rays, while red hermit crabs in endless undulations rolled past to the shores of the Indian Ocean. Escapees from earthen burrow homes, guided by a waning moon, by ancient tides. I stepped across their frantic river, my soft feet unprepared for cuttlefish sharp soil. I see them now, horn-eyed, ghostly crabs squatting low. I hear the clacking hum, their fragile sacks gathered close to abdomen. In a rush, they released 1,000 sticky orbs, streamed to lava into the surf. Then, dancing, wild and untamed, red mothers, maybe even drowning that their own should live, shook off the rabid frenzy of birth and imminent death. I did not understand their dance. I had my own clean, orchestrated moves. And as the seamount rose, I did not recognize the honor in their furtive race, unaware that in later years, 1,000,000 miles from Cossey's beach, I would beg doctors to slice me open, to take her out rather than I go on without her. But I would scuttle back from myself, from my pulsating frame, desperate to deposit my sack safely on the shore. I did not know back then that tidal waves return the buried hulls of sunken ships, compositor wrecks, ribs extended, swollen with the brine, that I too would be set adrift. That at the end of your life, when the storms have died down, you might ask, what exactly did I risk? Okay, back to my notes in a minute. So my last poem has an epigraph from the Imagist poet H.D. I find it strange how many parallels and coincidences can arise when writing poetry. It was here on Corfu that H.D. experienced visions at the monastic island of Pontacanesi, which helped shape the writing of Trilogy and Helen in Egypt. She talks about the visions in her book, A Tribute to Freud. The other day, we took a trip by a small boat across the Straits of Corfu from the island of Paxos, and the weather had turned, causing almost 3-metre swells. I was reminded of the power and absolute unpredictability of the ocean. All of my visions that day were of the past and trips I had taken by boat that had tested all of us over the years. So the next poem is kind of the antidote to that feeling of helplessness, how a calm sea can bring you answers or help you to decide how to change your life. So thank you so much for listening tonight. Thanks to Aaron, Charlie, and all the team at Broken Sleep. So this is Temporary Stasis, my last poem. So, but more than the many-foamed ways of the sea, I know him. I grabbed the lighter from my red beach bag. Inside are grains of sand and dusky pink shells, used train tickets to coastal towns, the hidden kind with rocky coves, a passeggiata and striped parasols in neat yellow rectangular rows. My leather, excuse me, sorry. Very dry mouth. My leather sandals chafed from the walk, wings clipped for now, head heavy, eyelids raw. Windblown pines on the Cinque Terre released trails of marching ants. They mimic my mind, which doesn't rest. Home and familiarity beckon, but I, halfway through this tempestuous voyage and interrupted by foul weather, resist predictability. Behind lenses tinted dark, alone at a travertine table, I take a hit of treacled espresso, ripened by the sweet Italian heat. Storms of winter long since past, I welcome the season's demise, the chance to stay here forever under cloudless blue, to stay, take root, remain for a person, a place, a shingle beach. But familiar faces warp in the haze between now and then, as the white-capped waves retract to welcome me back in. Brow slick as nicotine and August's memories meld, I ruminate on those early, guileless, wandering days and taste the last few exquisite rays. Thank you.